Hello everyone, this is the CircuitPython weekly meeting for April 6th, 2026. This is the time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. My name is Tim and I am sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python that is designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The development for CircuitPython is primarily sponsored by Adafruit. If you would like to help support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from their website at adafruit.com. This meeting gets hosted on the Adafruit Discord server, which you can join anytime by going to adafru.it/discord. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython dev text channel as well as the CircuitPython voice channel there on the Discord. The meeting typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time, except when that coincides with a U.S. holiday. In the notes doc, there is a link to a calendar that you can view online or add to your favorite calendar app. We also send out notifications about the upcoming meetings via Discord. If you'd like to receive those notifications, just ask in the CircuitPython dev channel to be added to the CircuitPythonistas role. Let's see here. There's a shared notes document that accompanies the meeting and recording. You can contribute to that document beforehand if you would like. The final notes document includes timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use that doc to skip around and view the parts of the video that interest you most. The meeting tends to run 30 to 60 minutes. After each meeting, we'll post a link to the next meeting's notes document here on the CircuitPython dev channel on Discord. Check the pinned messages to find the latest document. You can add your notes for the following meeting throughout the week as well. You don't have to wait till Mondays to do those if you don't want to. If you happen to think of something in the middle of the week, you can just hit the pinned messages and fill in your name for hug reports or status updates or whatever you want right then. If you would like to participate but cannot attend, you can always leave hug reports and status updates in the document and the host will read them for you. Even if you're unable to make it to the voice channel during the actual meeting, we'll still read off your notes for you. The meeting, as always, is held in 5 parts. We will look first at community news, a couple items from the CircuitPython and Python on Hardware newsletter. Actually, the Python on Microcontrollers newsletter, and we will look at a couple of CircuitPython and Python hardware on hardware-related news items from it. After that, we will look at the state of CircuitPython, the libraries, and Blinkas. That one is a quantitative overview of the entire project. We will check out some stats covering the various different repositories that make up the project. Then we will get into hug reports. That is an opportunity to highlight good things that folks are doing. You can take a moment to recognize some awesome folks in our community and beyond. Then we will have status updates. That one is our second round robin. We will go around the room and take a couple of minutes to talk about what we've been working on over the past week and what we'll be up to over the next week as well. And then we will wrap it up with In the Weeds. That one is an opportunity for some more long-form discussions. Those can either come out of status updates or be identified ahead of time as too long for status updates. So if you have something you want to talk about in the weeds, feel free to just make a little section. There is a section already, in fact, labeled In the Weeds at the bottom of the doc, and just make a little note in there with your name and then write in what you would like to talk about. And when we get to that part of the meeting, we'll call on you, or if you're not around, we can read your note and folks can have a chance to respond and discuss. So with that, I will take the first timestamp and get us into community news. All right, community news. And this one as well. Whoops, here we go. So first item that we had from that caught my eye in the newsletter this week, MicroPython 1.28 release is imminent. So over on the MicroPython repo, they have a section, I don't know if it's a tag or a label or exactly what the unit of organization it is, but they have a sort of tag, so to speak, for MicroPython 1.28, and they have, just as of last week, completed all of the issues under that tag. So it's looking likely that the next release of MicroPython will be coming pretty soon. Next up, we have a poetry phone in the key of banana, or as I might call it, the banana phone. This one caught my eye as well from the newsletter. So maker Mario Cruz created an interactive art installation for the Miami Poetry Festival. You can dial a number on a real phone keypad, hear ringing, and then listen to a poem through the earpiece. Every number leads to a poem, but some of the numbers hide surprises, and it was built on a Raspberry Pi Pico with a DF Player Mini MP3 module using CircuitPython and a salvaged phone handset. So check this out, and on the blog here that is linked, Mario the Maker blog, there is like a 4-part series covering different aspects of the development of this project. So check those out. In particular, I liked one of them where they were going through sort of kid-proofing the software to make it so that if you didn't behave exactly as expected in the software, that it wouldn't just crash and break. So they built in lots of little try agains and break out of bad states to get back into a working state. Since this will be on display for the public, I thought that was really cool. Next up, we have Project of the Week, Artemis 2 Live Tracker on the Matrix Portal M4. The Artemis 2 Live Tracker is a CircuitPython project for the Adafruit Matrix Portal M4 with a 64x32 RGB LED matrix that displays real-time Artemis 2 mission status. The display automatically transitions through mission phases, pre-launch countdown, live in-flight telemetry, AROW data, and post-mission splashdown messages. There are links here to the Adafruit forums and GitHub if you would like to make that project. And I believe that those folks are basically at the moon as we speak, or just about to slingshot around it and start heading back quite soon. So check out the project for updates on the Artemis 2 mission. Next up is Lopaka editor support. So this was a new one to me. I hadn't heard of this before, but it looked like an interesting utility. So the quick news item is CircuitPython is now supported in the Lopaka editor. There's links here to Twitter and lopaka.app where you can use it. This is basically an interface designer for microcontrollers. They have support for lots of different types of microcontrollers, and you can kind of visually lay out what you want on your screen, kind of build out a template, and then I presume sort of fill in live data once you're actually running on the microcontroller device. So this is basically a way to build UIs and graphical interfaces for microcontrollers, and now supports CircuitPython, which is pretty cool. Next up, and the last item that I included here from the newsletter was the Build 123D modeling framework, which is Build 123D is a Python-based parametric boundary representation modeling framework for 2D and 3D CAD. It's built on Open Cascade geometric kernel. It provides a clean, fully Pythonic interface for creating precise models suitable for 3D printing, CNC machining, laser cutting, and other manufacturing processes. There is a link here to GitHub with this project. This one caught my eye because I'm a big user of OpenSCAD, which is a text sort of programming language-based 3D modeling software application, and this is a very similar thing to that, but also sort of built in Python, which I'm obviously very comfortable with. So I will definitely be diving into this one, and this may become my sort of go-to way for modeling objects, because the ability to model with text and using Python sounds very appealing to me. So check that out. I will also say there are loads and loads of other neat things in this week's newsletter. I had to restrain myself to not just keep adding more and more stuff that I thought was cool. So these are a small sampling of items from today's newsletter. And as a reminder, that newsletter is the Python on Microcontrollers weekly newsletter, which is a CircuitPython community-run newsletter that gets mailed out every Monday. The complete archives are available on adafruitdaily.com, and the newsletter highlights the latest Python on hardware-related news from around the web, including CircuitPython, Python, and MicroPython developments. If you'd like to contribute some news or your own project, you can email cpnews@adafruit.com. We always appreciate folks contributing their own news and projects. And thanks always to Anne for curating that and putting together the newsletter each week for us. All right, so with that, we will get into the state of CircuitPython, the libraries, and Blinka. I will take a timestamp for that. So in this section, it's a quantitative overview of the entire project. It gives us a chance to look at the health of the project separate from our status updates. We'll talk about the project overall and then separately discuss the core, the libraries, and Blinka. So first up in the overall section, we had across all the CircuitPython repos, 24 pull requests merged by 10 different authors this week. A couple of the names that stood out to me as not as familiar, so perhaps newer or less frequent contributors this week were Jesse Adams and CV Manju. Don't recognize those names from before, but it could just be that I missed them. So those folks might be newer or less frequent thanks to them. And we also had loads of names on here that do appear more frequently from week to week. So always appreciate the folks who are returning to contribute as well. We had 6 reviewers, thanks to Liz, Scott, Dan, Brent, Melissa, and myself. We had issues-wise, 54 closed issues by 5 people, 3 new issues opened up by 3 people. And that is it for overall. I will take the next timestamp and pass it over to Scott if you are available to tell us about the core.
Yeah. Okay, so for the core, we had 15 pull requests merged from 8 different authors, which is a lot for us, which is great. Jesse Adams and Toddbot, CV Manju, Deshipu are all infrequent contributors. To thank you for them. 2 reviewers, Dan and I. We had 24 open pull requests at the times of these stats, but I know that 2 have just been merged, so we're down to 22. We have 1 closed issue by 1 person and 2 open by 2 people, so not a lot of issue activity. I'll take PR activity over issue activity any day. We have 854 open issues, and we prioritize those for Adafruit funded folks using milestones. So we have 4 open issues on 10.1x. That's the current stable branch. We have 1 open issue for 10.2, and then we have a bunch of other stuff, lower priority things there. That is to say that if you are not funded by Adafruit and want to work on something that may not be in those milestones, you're more than free to do that. We're happy to give guidance and help folks with that. So just let me know or reach out to us on Discord if you want us to point you in the right direction. We also do reviews and stuff too for those things. We have 0 issues not assigned to milestones. We're up to date on our triage, and that's it for the core.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Next up, I will tell you about stats for the CircuitPython libraries. This section covers Python level libraries that are hosted on GitHub under 2 different library bundles. We have the Adafruit library bundle, which currently has 392 libraries in it, and we have the community library bundle with libraries made by third parties. That one has 177 libraries in it, for a total right now of 569 libraries that support various things on CircuitPython hardware. Across the Adafruit bundle libraries this week, we had 5 pull requests merged by 3 different authors. We had 4 reviewers as well, thanks to Brent for getting in some reviews this week on various CircuitPython stuff, I think IoT related things. We had, of the pull requests that were merged, essentially all of those were brand new, just 1 day old, and we had, at the end of the week, so after the past 7 days, we're currently sitting at 37 pull requests open. The oldest one of those is a draft that's 1,327 days right now, and the newest one is 1 day old only. Issues-wise, on the libraries, we had 3 issues closed by 3 different people, 0 issues opened up, and that leaves us with 771 issues across all of those Adafruit bundle libraries, and there are currently 2 of them that are labeled as good first issues. You can find those 2 as well as the others over at circuitpython.org/contributing, which is the website that you should head to if you're interested in getting involved in the CircuitPython project. Usually the first place that we point folks to if they want to get involved but don't have something super specific that they want to work on is reviewing PRs for libraries. You can see those listed on that page I mentioned before. Again, it's circuitpython.org/contributing. When you open it, you're going to see a big list of links over to GitHub. These are open PRs. They're waiting for a person to come along and review it, and that could be you if you would like. That process entails just clicking through to GitHub, taking a look at the changes that have been proposed in that PR. You can look over the code for syntax, spelling, logic, anything like that. And then you can leave a comment there on GitHub letting us know what you found when you looked it over. If you have the hardware for it, you can also try running it on hardware and just include information in your comments about how it went. Was it working, not working? Did you have issues? Also include information about the versions you use, the microcontroller, the version of CircuitPython, that sort of stuff. If you get comfortable with that process and would like to get leveled up to join our review team on GitHub, we can work with you to add you to that. If you would like to start submitting some of your own proposed changes, you can do that as well. From the same page, circuitpython.org/contributing along the top, if you click over to the issues link, you will see a similar looking page visually. It's still a bunch of links over to GitHub, but these ones represent issues. They don't have a proposed change yet. They're waiting for a person who would like to actually implement that change. It could be fixing a bug, adding a new feature, adding a new example, or some new functionality, something like that. If you would like to do that, again, you can kind of scroll through the list, find something that's interesting to you, click through to GitHub, read about what the issue is, and then for this one, you'd be submitting your own PR to try to resolve that issue. We do have a Learn Guide for contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub, and we also have folks who are more than happy to help you out here on the Discord. So if you are trying to get involved, whether that's reviewing or submitting your own PRs and you're having trouble with any part of the process, just come say hi on Discord. Let us know what you're up to, what kind of issue you're running into, and we would be happy to help you out. We want everyone to be able to contribute in a way that works for them. And I will leave you on the library side. Updates in the last 7 days. Adafruit bundle, we had some new updates in the APDS 9999 display or layout EPD, and then over in the community bundle, the NAU 7802 driver from Cedar Grove Studios and Toddbot's CircuitPython noise library both received updates this week, so check those out over in the community bundle. Next up, I will tell you about Blinka. Blinka is our compatibility layer for Raspberry Pi and similar single board computers, as well as MicroPython devices, to be able to run CircuitPython code on those other types of hardware. Across the Blinka repos this week, we had four pull requests merged. Thanks to Dan for doing some infrastructure updates in Blinka and Melissa for reviews. There are 20 pull requests that are currently open. And issues-wise, we're looking at 50 closed issues by one person. I think Melissa did a bunch of cleanup on issues and moved them to, I believe, discussions or a different component within the repo. So I think that's where that's coming from this week. And then we had one new issue opened up by one person, and that leaves us with a total currently of 97 open issues on the Blinka repository, or perhaps across a couple of them. I'm not sure if that's just the single one or all of them. And there are currently 166 supported boards that can use Blinka to run CircuitPython compatibility code. So very cool stuff there. All right, next up is Hug Reports. As a reminder, Hug Reports is a chance to highlight folks in the CircuitPython community and beyond for doing awesome things. I'll start, then we'll go down the list of Hug Reports as they appear in the notes document. If you're text only or missing the meeting, then I will read your notes for you when we get to your turn. I'm going to arrange these ones just a little bit. Oh, there we go. All right, so I have, let's take a timestamp actually, a Hug Report for Scott for adding board defs to the Zephyr port for some common Adafruit devices. Makes it easier for other folks to test it out. And then I also have a Hug Report for Nis on Discord, who popped in and was pointing me towards some very helpful resources while I was tinkering around with Zephyr for the first time. They got me a lot farther in the process of building than I would have otherwise gotten. So thanks to them. And then next up, it looks like we have notes here from Carter. I will read theirs. Carter says, a hug to the 4 astronauts currently flying by the moon. Definitely will echo that one as well. And then next up is Dan.
Okay. Thanks to Relic SE for working on some audio mixer issues on SAMD51 and related chips. There was some improvements to that, but it actually wasn't tested against certain chips, so it needs to be debugged.
All right, thanks, Dan. Next up is Scott.
Hello, thanks to T-Radicay on GitHub for testing CircuitPython on IDF6. They are having some Wi-Fi issues, and they wanted to see if IDF6 fixed it. In that similar vein, John Nelson got a setup for building CircuitPython to debug it, so they're still sorting out what the issue is, and Dan or I may jump in on that at some point too. And then lastly, a hug to you from a guy for testing CircuitPython on Zephyr. I've been working on it a while, and I'm excited to have some feedback on that, and looking forward to hearing what happened with the feather. So
Yeah,
thank you for doing that.
All right, and that is it for the status update, or excuse me, for the hug reports. Next, we will get into the status updates. Status updates is our time to tell folks what we're up to individually. I'll start, then we'll go through the list of updates alphabetically as they appear in the notes doc. When I call on you, take a couple of minutes to talk about what you've been doing since the last meeting or what you'll be up to until the next meeting. And if discussion becomes too long for status updates, we can always move that down to in the weeds and dive into some more details later on. So I will get us kicked off here. Status updates. For me, I published the guide last week for the Easter egg hunt game on the Fruit Jam, so you can check that out now on learn.adafruit.com if you would like. I have been writing my next guide, which is for using Raspberry Pi as a router. So very basic, sort of just Wi-Fi to Ethernet back and forth, being able to route traffic from one to the other and vice versa. And that is nearly done, so I'm hoping to get that submitted today, and then it'll go through the review process, perhaps be out later this week or next. And then as mentioned, I tried out some of the Zephyr stuff, the brand new stuff in the CircuitPython Zephyr port. I tried it on the NRF 52840 I wrote here. It was actually on the Feather Sense, and in hindsight, I'm not sure if it was expected to work yet. It may just be that I tried a thing that was never going to work. But I did also try it on the Raspberry Pi Pico, and it was working great there. I even took it a little bit further. I made a board def with a lot of help from Claude for the Feather RP2040, and I was able to use that to test display I/O with an I2C bus display and a 14x4 segment running off of that same Feather at the same time. So very cool to see not only the device booting up, but actually being able to display and run a little marquee on those segments, all running under Zephyr, brand new port. So very cool stuff on the horizon there. Fun to play with. Next up, I will pass it over to Dan.
Okay, I've been working on the MicroPython version 1.27 merge. It's going straightforwardly. I compiled some boards and they work. I can get into the REPL and run Blink and things like that. And now I'm fixing the tests. The tests, actually, a bunch are failing because it looks like there were some changes to the Linux-based testing executable MicroPython coverage, and I need to fix that so that it returns it returns a status code. It was not returning status. It was returning status 0 even when there was an error. So I think that might fix a bunch of the tests. So I hope to be finished with this merge quite soon. And that's it.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Next up is Scott.
Hello. So I've been testing the IDF6 update. It took a while to get Wi-Fi working, but I didn't want to start pushing it until I knew that would work. Otherwise, that would be the first thing people run into. I have a lot more to test. I updated the Touch API and the I2C API, so I'm going to be doing that as well. And I want to talk a little more in the weeds about when we think that will be merged in. Speaking of merges, the Zephyr port just had NVM support added. So this is if you mark a particular part of the partition for just raw use, it will support that. I've got two kind of pending changes that build on that. One is this idea of a standard partition scheme so that you can go between Arduino and CircuitPython and things like that. I'm not sure when I'll get back to that, but I also have a Feather Sense board definition that will come. I'll probably just do it in the next few minutes to propose that. And then Dan also merged Zephyr builds for the Raspberry Pi Picos. So this is a better way for people to start trying it. I do know that they are not great. There are bugs and stuff with this, but I do want to hear about it. I want people to try it, and primarily so that I could get more feedback on like what the next things I should fix are. What are the things that are blocking people really from adopting this? There is I2S support that uses a separate thread, so that's really interesting. I'd be curious to have the SynthIO folks try it. Although I don't think the Picos actually have I2S support via PIO, so there you go. That's something we could request. So yeah, those are in. I have Claude. I'm kind of like poking Claude along on Ethernet support. This is something I've been thinking about a lot. It is kind of the equivalent of Wi-Fi.radio, so that you can like see the status of your IP link, but then you just like pass that object into socket pool, and now you got sockets. The code's laid out. The API that Claude proposed looked good, so it's working on getting that compiling, and then I'll dig into more testing and stuff after that happens. I'm targeting both the ESP IDF and the Zephyr port for that support. So that's where people can expect to see Ethernet support. I do have 2 of the WizNet 5500 Picos coming in. Those are like an Ethernet jack on, like tacked onto a Pico. And my idea with that is that we can use the Zephyr port to support it instead of the Raspberry Pi port. I have BLE GAT support that's pending testing as well. That's not as high priority. I'd like to work through the IDF stuff. And then lastly, I do want to also have a lot of balls in the air. Then the final ball is getting Claude or OpenClaw working on a separate project from CircuitPython that is designed to be like kind of like a one important function thing that converts USB to USB IP. And the idea here is that you can take any ESP device, in this case, that has USB host, and it can convert whatever is plugged into it into USB IP, so that any different computers can talk to it. And I also want to be able to talk to it without the host OS. So having a Python PyUSB style library that talks directly to a USB device via USB IP, I think would be super powerful, especially for like agent isolation and just testing. So I'm looking into that some more, and Limor seemed to be interested in it. So I'm gonna try to get that ball moving forward a little bit this week as well. So that's all the balls I have in the air. Plus I'm watching the moon stuff.
All right. Thank you, Scott. And that's it for status updates. Next up is In the Weeds. In the Weeds is an opportunity for more long-form discussion, either topics that came out of status updates or topics that were identified ahead of time. We do have one, so I will pass the baton right back to Scott for In the Weeds topic.
Thank you, Tim. So I just wanted to bring up kind of like release planning because the IDF 6 change is a large one, and as much as I will test things, I'm not very confident in my ability to be thorough about it. So I would like to be able to merge in the IDF 6 stuff in a main state where like we have everything else in a stable release. So I frankly have lost track of what is kind of queued up for 10.2. I know 10.1 is kind of like still the stable thing that we're working on. But I wanted to get people's thoughts about that.
We could start there. There are bugs to fix in 10.1, and they are in 10.2 also. But we could stop doing that and release an equally buggy release in 10.2.
Right.
I don't think there are some like minor API changes or something. Yeah, I don't think that there's sort of anything that's in a bad state, but I'd have to look.
How are you feeling about the MicroPython merge? Do we want 10.2 to be that as well?
It could be that. Yeah, that could be done pretty soon. That could be done before the week is done. So that could be the last thing in 10.2. or we could start doing a 10.2. I think I did a beta 0. I could do beta 1 after that merge, and then I would like to work on some of these bugs like the instabilities of
Okay.
of Wi-Fi. But all
So
the
and that's the reason to call it a beta instead of an RC.
yeah, because I think right. That's the reason.
But that problem is in 10.1 still, right? So like
Yes, that problem is in 10.1. The question is whether to bother to put anything else in 10.1. So,
right. So
um,
I guess my feeling is like what if we did the MicroPython merge, we do it as 10.2 RC0, and then as long as like the MicroPython side of things doesn't blow up, we release it stable, have a 10.2x branch, and then you can keep working on the bugs that are in 10.1.
that's fine with me. I was just thinking that we might have a beta just because nobody ever tests the RCs. So
Well, nobody tests the betas either.
it's a little bit more. It's true, but yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's the trouble is that nobody tests, right? So
well,
yeah,
we get a lot more testing on our stable branch, which is fine.
yeah.
So I think that the reason that I'm pushing that is because like I would love to get IDF6 in sooner. I think like if we
But in
do a
the
beta,
10.3 in Maine. Okay, yeah.
right. So like if we get 10.2 stable faster, then we can move on to a 10.3 and do betas there.
All right. Well, let's see if I can finish the merge quite soon, and then maybe next week I'll have a 10.2 or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, we could do like a 10.2 RC0 and just like let it run over the weekend. And if we don't hear anything over the weekend, we can do it stable, Monday.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there really are things that work in 10.1 but not in 10.2, but I can't think of anything. I have to look at the issues. There
I
are like
mean,
dozens of issues in the 10.2 milestone, so uh, I want to
no, I
review.
think there's only one in the 10.2 milestone. There's a lot in the 10x.
Oh, 10xx. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay,
Um, which is a
all right.
larger thing, but
Well, I can understand your desire to not hold up 10.2 for 6 because 6 is not easy. It sounds like yeah. I think you
no.
weren't sure, and now it's definitely clear. So yeah,
I'd rather have the IDF stuff in a beta phase for a little while.
yeah,
But we've been in the beta phase for 10.2 for a while.
yeah,
So yeah.
right. And most of the things that I thought were important fixes are in. I merged them against 10.1
Right.
and encouraged people to do that. So yeah,
And I kind of expect that to happen with 10.2 as well. It's just like there's this like in my brain we've been in like main's been 10.2 for so long that I don't quite have a handle on what's involved. Uh, it's probably largely Zephyr, which doesn't matter as much because like Zephyr itself, the Zephyr port itself is still like kind of alpha.
right. And it doesn't. It should not affect the stability of the rest.
Right.
That's only if
Right.
there's a regression in the builds or something. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
But the IDF6 stuff could be big because that's actually a port people are using.
Okay. All right. So I will finish finish the I will
Merge.
finish that as soon as I can, and then I'll just review the 10xx bugs to see if there's anything that I should fix or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll
If something is in 10.1, yeah, I'm okay leaving it to post 10.2.
right. It's still a bug, right? Yeah. So
It's still a bug, and I'm okay with you working on it. It's just like I get the IDF6 stuff gets unblocked if we do it on a 10.2
yeah,
branch.
yeah. That sounds fine.
Okay, so it's going to be MicroPython merge finished this week, then 10.2 RC, final stable, 10.2 stable next week.
Yeah.
Bug fixes can still go into 10.2x and beta release with IDF6 for
Like I might do this, the QT Py power, TX power, I might put in 10 to, for instance.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not a big thing.
No.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan.
Good.
And I've noted it. I had added notes in the note stock for
Yeah, I
folks
see
who
that,
go back
yeah.
later.
Okie dokes.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you both for the discussion on that one. And next up, we will. Oh, I have put the timestamp completely the wrong spot. Let me fix that. Next up, we will do the wrap up and get on the road. I've scrolled to the wrong place as well. All right. So thanks, everyone. This has been the CircuitPython weekly meeting for April 6th, 2026. Thanks to everyone who participated. If you would like to help support Adafruit and CircuitPython, and those of us that work on CircuitPython, consider purchasing from the Adafruit shop at adafruit.com. The video of this meeting will get released on YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit, and the podcast will be made available on major podcast services. It will also get featured in the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. You can visit adafruitdaily.com in order to subscribe to that. The next meeting will be held at the usual time next Monday. That is the 13th of April, the usual time being 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And the meeting, as always, is held here on the Adafruit Discord, which you can join by going to adafru.it/Discord. If you'd like to be notified about the upcoming meetings and any changes to the day or time, you can ask to be added to the CircuitPythonistas role on Discord. We hope to see you all next week. Thanks everyone who participated, and that is it for this week. Thanks.